Hey, welcome. There's a phrase we hear all the time, the cost of living. It's just part of our everyday conversation. But today, we're going to dig into an argument that takes that common phrase and flips it on its head, asking a question that really gets you thinking about our most basic principles.
So the source material kicks things off at this really sharp paradox. Think about it. The Declaration of Independence says life is an unalienable right, something that can't be bought, sold, or taken away. And yet, we all stress about the cost of living. The source argues that, well, these two ideas just can't logically exist together. And this quote just brilliantly nails the problem. It's like food, water, a roof over your head, electricity, even essential medicine. We pay for these things over and over again every single month. The source basically frames this as a subscription for survival. And if you miss a payment, well, your access to the very things you need to live can get cut off. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this paradox, the source says we have to do something kind of radical. We have to flip our whole understanding of some very common words. It's proposing what it calls a great reversal in how we think about power, freedom, and our economy.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you look at accountability. With a public institution, at least in theory, we hold the power, right? We're citizens. We can vote people in or out. But with a private corporation, the power is with a board that's appointed by shareholders. And their number one legal duty? It's to make a profit. In that world, we're not citizens with rights, we're just customers with credit cards.
So, based on that, the source coins this really challenging term, corporate socialism. Now, that's an idea that'll make you stop and think. The argument is that the thing we often call socialism, centralized top-down power, actually exists inside huge corporations. All the big decisions are made by a tiny, unelected group, and the rest of us, the workers and consumers, we get absolutely no democratic say in any of it. This quote just drives that point home in such a stark way. A Politburo, right? That's a central committee that makes all the decisions from the top down. The source is arguing that a corporate board of directors is basically the same thing, a command economy, but instead of being driven by some state ideology, it's driven by a stock price. And boom, here's the great reversal in full effect. The source claims that since the U.S. government is supposed to be an instrument of we the people, public ownership isn't tyranny. It's actually democracy in action. It's us, the people, collectively owning and controlling the systems that are absolutely essential for our own lives.
All right, so after totally reframing the problem, the text offers up a solution. And it's not the capitalism we're used to, but it's not traditional socialism either. It's this model called egalitarianism. Let's see how it's supposed to work. The source uses this fantastic metaphor of society as a building. The foundation is egalitarianism. This means everyone is guaranteed the absolute basics needed to survive. This part is handled publicly. But then, built on top of that solid foundation, capitalism is free to thrive. People can build, innovate, compete, and create on all the floors above. This chart makes it super clear. On the left, you've got the stuff on the foundation, the things you just can't live without. And on the right, you've got everything else, where the free market really shines. So the key takeaway here is this isn't about the government running everything. It's about drawing a clear line between essential needs and everything else we might want. And here's the twist in the argument that you might not expect. Securing that foundation doesn't weaken capitalism. The source says it actually makes it stronger. Think about it. When people aren't living in constant fear of losing their home, they can negotiate for fair wage. They can actually take a risk and start that small business they've been dreaming of. This, according to the source, creates a much more stable and innovative economy for everyone.
Okay, now this is where this whole abstract argument gets painfully real. The source uses a case study from the foster care system to show exactly how our current system can extract value from a human being instead of investing in them. So, according to the source, this number represents the rough annual tax-free payment that the state of Nebraska would give a foster household per child. That's a pretty significant chunk of money. So let's follow that money, and more importantly, see where it doesn't go.
The logic starts right here. The one and only reason that $9,000 to $15,000 even exists, the reason it's being paid out, is because a child is in state care. Simple as that. The child is the direct generator of that economic value.
So then the money moves. But it's not given to the child. It's not put into some account for the child's future. It's transferred straight to the foster household to cover the cost of care. The value is captured by the carers. And here it is, the critical, heartbreaking conclusion of this logic. The person who generated all of that value, the child, walks away from the system with zero of it. No savings account, no trust fund, no foundation for their own future. They were treated as the reason for the transaction, but not as the beneficiary of it.
So this brings us to one final, piercing question. If the money was there because of the child, but none of it was saved for the child's future, who or what was the system really investing in?
And this one quote from the source material brings this whole explainer full circle. It's the ultimate test, isn't it? A real investment grows for the future. This one sentence just forces us to confront who and what our systems are actually built to serve. And it leaves you wondering, if the right to life is real, shouldn't it come with a foundation, not a price tag?